This is early for Daily Tech News Show, but we're happy to be here. Here we go.
Live via alphageekradio.com. The Daily Tech News Show is made possible by patrons like you at patreon.com/acedetect. Thank you. For information on how to contribute, go to bit.ly/helpdtns. You're on the Frog Pants Studios Network. Audio so good, it's like you're there.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, March 26th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Justin Robert Young is in the house. How you doing, Jury?
Hey, man. This is going to be a great show. Not only are we way early, but I feel like the world's going to get the tech news a little bit sooner than they would otherwise, and we're bringing in the big guns. One of my old pals is joining us here on the show.
Steve Kovach, senior editor from Business Insider, is with us as well today. How's it going, Steve?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me for my first time.
I was about to say call in the righty, but I wasn't sure if you were a righty or a lefty.
I'm a righty.
Okay, so we're calling righty.
Right.
You've been playing around with the Samsung Galxy S6. We're going to get your impressions on that. If you could give us like one word, though, as a tease ahead, what would you come up with?
It looks like an iPhone.
All one word.
Oh, yeah, all one word. Yeah.
Just looks like an iPhone. I think it counts.
Like an iPhone.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's take a look at the headlines. Twitter's Periscope app launched today, adding another mobile live streaming app to the mix alongside Meerkat and a few others out there. Like Meerkat, Periscope lets you stream video live right from your phone. You can see people chatting along while you stream. Unlike Meerkat, the chatting is in the app, not on Twitter. Also, you can tap the screen to send people hearts, which makes them feel good. And the biggest difference, Periscope archives videos for viewers to watch later. Periscope also lets you choose to tweet a link or not. In fact, by default, it doesn't tweet it. And you can even invite selected people and make kind of a semi-private broadcast.
Now, I think we've all played around with it so far, and this is obviously very early on, so we are just getting our bearings on it. I found it to be prettier than Meerkat, although Meerkat's layout is kind of intentionally kind of Snapchat sparse, so I don't really think that that's a gigantic advantage for them. I actually kind of thought that like Meerkat has cracked a little something with the automatic tweet and the conversation through Twitter. That's part of what separated it from Ustream and Justin TVs of the past.
Steve, have you been periscoping at all? I have, but I mean, most of what I've seen and most of what I've done has just been a lot of stupid stuff. Like, I mean, I did my walking to work when I got off the subway today, and I made coffee, and just literally just me sitting there eating a bowl of pesto tortellini. And it's shocking that people are actually watching. I did the tortellini thing, and like 30 people immediately tuned in to watch me eat my lunch today.
That makes me feel better because I took the dogs out in the morning, and pretty much they do what dogs do in the morning, and people were watching.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just this kind of weird voyeuristic thing, and maybe eventually someone will break news on it or find like a really clever use case for it, and there'll be stars just like there are Vine stars and YouTube stars and so forth. But for now, it's just people like me being stupid on it, I think.
Well, and Rich from lovely Cleveland wrote in already and said, I find myself more compelled to use Meerkat because I've been coming around to the ephemeral nature of Snapchat for a while. And I like the fact that with Meerkat, I can create a live stream of doing something silly to make a few of my friends laugh, but I don't have to worry about it following me around on social media down the line. I mean, do you guys think we'll end up with Periscope being good for people who are serious and want to archive things, and Meerkat sticking around as a more of a Snapchat way of saying, I just want to do something disposable?
I don't think both will live in the same stature. Like, I can't see there being a Meerkat and a Periscope that are both thought of as equals in 6 months. I think that if this genre survives, which is, I think, the larger question, because it hasn't really with other apps that have had similar functionality before, granted, crappier mobile internet connections, crappier cameras, crappier processors, but if it survives, I think one of them is the winner and one of them is the loser.
And I think like most people don't have massive Twitter followings, so maybe a couple hundred people. So when it's live like that, the chances of any of the friends like being on Twitter at that exact moment when you're doing something live, that's really low. That's why I like the replay feature. So if someone doesn't have the chance to tune in at that exact moment, they can go back and watch it.
Yeah, and that is a problem with Meerkat, where I see it usually after they're done streaming.
Exactly.
And then it's over. It's a dead link at that point. Yeah.
And it certainly does give it the chance to go viral, right? Let's say you catch something live, like it can't go viral if people afterward can't see it. So you like are only opening yourself up to be like, oh, I'm on the truck where they're trying to catch the llamas that are on the loose, as opposed to being able to go look at it later.
It's Snapchat versus Twitter, in a way. You can look at it that way.
The Samsung Galxy S6 and S6 Edge go on sale worldwide April 10th, and U.S. pre-orders will begin March 27th. The Verge reports U.S. pricing is between $20 and $35 a month on AT&T and T-Mobile. And PC Mage reports the HTC One M9 will also be available for pre-order in the U.S. starting at $649 at 12:01 a.m. Eastern, March 27th. The M9 hits stores itself on April 10th.
Yeah, it's the battle of the smartphones. Do you want a Samsung? Do you want an HTC? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. TechCrunch reports Amazon expanded its cloud drive service today. While Amazon Prime users could already get unlimited photo storage, now non-Prime users can pay $12 a year for unlimited photo storage, and everybody, whether you're Prime or not, can choose to pay $60 a year for unlimited storage of all your media, your PDFs, your MP3s, whatever. You can try it for free for 3 months as well. The storage wars are on, guys, and we're winning because we're getting lots of cheap options and no limits on storage.
Absolutely. That is just an awesome trend for consumers. But I just love this idea of Jeff Bezos like having this big trunk, and he's just like, hey, can you give me $70? I'll send you your stuff early. I don't know, Jeffrey Tambor is transsexual. Does that interest you? You want to pay me $70 for that? How about all your photos? Yeah, your photos for free. I'll upload all of them. It's fine. $70. Can you give me $70, please?
Yeah, just binding you to that. Although, frankly, as an Amazon Prime hanger-oner, in other words, I get the shared plan from my wife, I never get to take advantage of that. So the $60, whether I'm Prime or not, for unlimited storage is pretty darn compelling.
Oh yeah, and listen, he got me with send my stuff early, so I've been a Prime customer for years. Bloomberg reports its sources say Apple is working with Foxconn to begin a trade-in program for iPhone in China as soon as March 31st. Apple retail staff would assess the phone and offer credit. Foxconn would then repair the devices if needed and sell them through its own e-commerce sites and Alibaba's Taobao?
Taobao, sure.
Taobao.
Yeah. Pretty interesting to see Apple letting Foxconn sort of become its official in-house gazelle. Apple does this sort of thing already in the U.S., but they handle the payments. So Foxconn would be buying these phones. They'd be paying for them.
I mean, for Foxconn, I mean that's a very, very crowded, very competitive market, and any kind of other revenue stream for them, I think, is a good idea.
According to Engadget's story, Reuters reports China's Cyberspace Administration said that sexually explicit pictures and texts, including nude photos and erotic animation, and even stories of one-night stands, wife swapping, sexual abuse, or other harmful information will be subject to punishment if you share it on WeChat. Accounts found to be in violation will be closed for a week on the first offense and permanently banned after 4 infractions. WeChat has around 438 million users in China. There's about 70 million outside China as well.
Well, there goes my use case. The New York Times reports Trent Reznor, who was chief creative officer for Beats prior to Apple's acquisition, is playing a major role in the redesign of the service. According to Apple employees familiar with the product who spoke on the condition of not being named because the plans are private, ooh, a new one, the redesign reportedly includes a subscription music streaming service that would incorporate curated playlists and more visual appeal from the Beats Music app. However, the report says that Apple could not convince record labels to lower licensing costs.
Yeah, we're not getting that $8 a month service from Apple, it doesn't look like, at least according to this story.
Yeah, it is just amazing like how old, I think especially for, like me and Steve, who are around the same age, that, the same guys that were, in between a John Sensio bumper on MTV in the 90s, Dr. Dre and Trent Reznor are now down the hall as executives for one of the most profitable companies in the history of business.
And Jimmy Iovine, who's just a legend in that industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are all Tim Cook's employees.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really weird. Reuters reports a group of investors led by Japan's SoftBank is in talks to buy a 20% stake in Indian handset maker Micromax for up to $1 billion. That would, if you do the math, value Micromax at $5 billion. Canalys reported Micromax became India's leading smartphone provider in the fourth quarter, although Samsung, who had held the lead prior to that, disputes that finding. But it's another front where Samsung is having to fight somebody coming up and taking their spot.
Do you like to ride in silence?
Yes.
Well, then you better not take Lyft, Tom. The New York Times reports that Lyft will add user profiles for drivers and passengers to its app, including the option to add a hometown, musical tastes, and other things to make for interesting conversation. Yes, folks, feel the spiders crawl up your spine, as now Lyft gives drivers more reasons to start up conversation, what we were all asking for. If a user has connected their Facebook account, the Lyft app can show drivers and passengers if they have mutual friends. The new feature is meant to help passengers in the Lyft line carpooling service to get to know their friends.
I don't want to talk to people when I'm in a... No, I take that back. Sometimes when I've been riding with an Uber driver, I'll have a really interesting conversation with them, but I don't want to feel like that has to happen. I don't know about you guys.
I guess
that's my biggest pet peeve is when a taxi driver tries to talk to me. I just want to get where I'm going, take me where I'm going. Same with Uber, even though it's like a little bit different, but don't talk to me.
I can understand it if maybe you got that information. So if you wanted to start a conversation with them, then you could. But that should always be on the user who wants to do that, as opposed to putting up another element of noise inside what many people just want to be a frictionless transition from point A to point B.
Well, I guess you could do that. Just don't fill out the profile, but you'll see the profile of the driver, and then you can be the one to initiate the conversation, right?
They should get none. They should no information for the driver. The information should be...
I'm just saying, you're in control of it. Don't fill out the profile then.
Yeah. I mean, they want you to sit in the front seat with Lyft. It's just, they're really into this, like,
they want to be your buddy. Hey, I see you're from hometown. How about that sports team in your hometown?
Oh, down year for the hometown sports team.
The Verge reports Microsoft's Universal Apps, they used to be called Metro Apps or sometimes other things, will now be called Windows Apps, an attempt to limit confusion and simplify things in Windows 10. Engineer Don Box revealed the new naming convention at a WinHeck developer event. Windows apps run on all devices. If they only run on a desktop, then they're just called Windows Desktop Apps. See? Perfectly clear. Windows apps run anywhere. Well, not the Windows Desktop Apps, but those are called Windows Desktop Apps. But Windows apps, when we don't call them Windows Desktop Apps, run everywhere. Clear?
Doesn't seem like the Don has made this an offer that we can't refuse.
Don Box, as if that was his title.
Yes.
He is
Don Box.
Don
Hey,
Box.
it'd be a shame if your Metro apps went away. I'm just saying.
He's very sorry to hear about the decline of Box software. Time now for some news from you. These come from our subreddit, as do many of our stories at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Captain Kipper pointing out the European Commission press release calling for a digital single market. The proposal wants to tackle geo-blocking, simplify VAT arrangements, that's the value-added tax, make parcel delivery more affordable and efficient, and even balance copyright between the interests of consumers and creators. This all sounds lovely. What's the catch? Uh-huh. Yeah. It does. It does. It does leave you breathless. It looks like I got cut off there for a second. You guys still there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, Steve. Does it sound like something the European Commission can pull off? And
I'm not like with all this, I'm really confused by how things work in Europe, to be honest, because it seems like their regulation is so much heavier than it is here, and like the stuff they're doing with Google and looking into it, and then it just never has teeth, right? It never comes to anything. They investigate, try to over-regulate, and then it never works out. So I don't know. Maybe this is the same kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of hey, we're going to do these great things, but there's always the unintended consequences you have to look out for. Finally, the Corley sent us some awesome space news. NASA has decided on a plan for its asteroid redirect mission that sadly does not involve Bruce Willis or capturing an entire asteroid. Instead, NASA decided that the ARM robotic spacecraft will take a boulder from an asteroid's surface, then put that boulder into orbit around the moon where it can be studied and sampled. The asteroid redirect mission is scheduled to launch in 2020. That's still pretty impressive, if you ask me. We're going to just take a piece of an asteroid and give the moon its own moon, essentially.
And that's just so we can study it more? Or is it to protect us from like things slamming into us?
No, it's just for studying. They can use it for some training where they try going after samples in a way that might help them on future Mars missions. It would lead to eventually knowing more about asteroids, which would help us defend against the asteroid that is inevitably going to come and kill us all someday. So it's just the first step, though. And that's a look at the headlines. All right, Justin Robert Young has been silenced by the man, or his internet connection went down, one or the other. Not quite sure. But in the meantime, Steve Kovach, thank goodness we've got you here for many reasons, not the least of which is Samsung Galxy S6 and S6 Edge, as we mentioned, going up for pre-order in the U.S. tomorrow. It's already on pre-order in lots of parts of the world, and you've been playing around with it. What do you think?
Yeah, I have the regular one here. I left the Edge actually on my desk in the other room, but my initial gut reaction is, this is the best phone I've seen Samsung make. I've been following the company for years really closely, but the only complaint I have, it's a really great phone, the best display I've ever seen on a phone. The camera is awesome. The software has been cleaned up after all these years of Samsung, loading up their phones with all this crap that you don't need. But look, it looks like an iPhone. This is the first time they've really taken design seriously, and again, it's clear that they're influenced by the iPhone.
Yeah, I can't get as close to my camera as you, but yeah, it's kind of boxier though. It's almost like it's multiple iPhones in one.
Yeah, and I think Dan Seifert from The Verge a few weeks ago, he wrote it's just like they took an iPhone 4 and an iPhone 6 and smacked them together and saw what came out.
It was a transporter accident.
Exactly, it's exactly like that. So, it's great to see them start taking, using premium materials for once. I know they angered a lot of diehard Android fans who want that removable battery and the expandable storage. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal. iPhone users have been using a battery that's stuck in the phone forever. It's not been a big thing. They added wireless charging, which is great. I think that's an awesome move, and I can't believe that's not standard on more phones. And the fingerprint sensor is awesome. It's just as good as Touch ID on the iPhone. I've been using this for over a day. I haven't been able to trick the fingerprint sensor, whereas last year that totally wasn't the case. You had to swipe it just right, and it worked maybe half the time. It's perfect. Whatever supplier they found for that fingerprint sensor really nailed it.
So with all the positive attributes that you have for this phone, Steve, I think the most interesting part of my reading of your first impression was that you think this is kind of the death knell of Samsung leading the pack in terms of being the prestige Android phone. Why is that? Yeah, they had Samsung had a great 2 years, and that was because they had a key differentiating factor over the other high-end phone, which is the iPhone, and they were making phones with these giant screens that people actually loved. So if you were okay with the tiny screen, you went iPhone. If you wanted the giant screen, you went Samsung. Now Apple, 2 years too late, finally caught up, and people, even in China, where people don't have as much money to spend, they're choosing the iPhone over Samsung. And then on the low end, they're choosing the Xiaomis and the Lenovo's of the world. That it's an Android phone is an Android phone. So. And they look just as good as these Samsung phones, and they are just as powerful and great screens and so forth. So why spend $650, $700 on a Samsung when you get the same thing for $300? And
there's nothing I see in this phone that's differentiating enough to make people just suddenly jump on and buy this over one of those cheaper Android devices. So, I mean, we're going to see that trend continue this year, I think.
The one thing I noticed, though, and it was hard to tell what the U.S. price is going to be for these phones because it's all installment plans, but I've seen it advertised as get the Samsung Galaxy S6 for $0 because you don't have to put anything down. It's all an installment plan. Do you think that will work for them to sort of market it essentially as a free phone even though you're paying full price?
Well, that's the U.S. market, and the U.S. market's so different. I'm looking at the global market, and Samsung is, their biggest growth area is just like Apple is in these emerging markets where people pay full price. And there's no reason to pay full price for these Samsung phones. Again, when you have these cheaper Android phones, you can get an iPhone for $0 down too. It depends. Every carrier has their own thing and their own plan and their pricing thing, but essentially it still costs the same as an iPhone, $650 or more at full price, and you're either paying that over 2 years or right up front.
So go ahead, Jerry.
Focusing on Android as a whole, what does the declining relevance of Samsung mean for the Android community? Because it was not long ago that Google was terrified that Samsung was just going to fork off their own version, and they were having negotiations about that.
Yeah, I think Android's going to be just as ubiquitous as it is now, if not more so. I was at a Mobile World Congress earlier this month, and the floor was just littered with Android phones that look really good, run basically stock Android. And what I think the future of smartphones in these emerging markets are literally just using reference designs like that Android One program or those cheaper hardware models and just selling them dirt cheap. And then that's the way so many more people are going to get online for the first time are these cheaper Android phones. And it's not going to be the Samsung phones that cost $700 or whatever. And so Android's going to be fine as a whole.
So in markets like India, Micromax,
Exactly.
They sell Android phones, right? And they're eating Samsung's lunch right now. Samsung Galaxy S6 is not going to help them there. It doesn't sound like it helps them much against iPhone when pretty much you and a lot of other people I've read say, yeah, it's very similar to an iPhone. It's better than the S5, but there's nothing compelling on it. Except for Samsung Pay, maybe. That doesn't come till summer. And I don't think a lot of people are going to really differentiate that from Apple Pay, to be honest, even though it does work differently.
Yeah, it'll work on more credit card readers in theory. It's based on Loop Pay technology, which Samsung bought, that company. And I haven't tested it thoroughly enough to say, but in theory it works, at any regular magnetic credit card reader. So maybe Samsung Pay will work more places. Then again, Samsung doesn't have the same kind of partnerships with all the credit card and banks like Apple does. Apple has more of those partners. So if you can't load your credit card onto it, what good is it?
Yeah, I don't want to trash Samsung's party because I think it is a really good looking phone. I think it's a good step forward from the S5. But it really doesn't sound like, from anything we're saying, and you guys tell me if you disagree in any part, like this is really going to turn the tide for Samsung.
No, I don't see any reason to buy this over an iPhone or, and you want to talk about design and looking like an iPhone 6. I mean, HTC has proven it can make a beautiful phone. That M9 is awesome looking. And it's a unique looking phone. It doesn't look anything like the iPhone or anything else that we've already seen. So it is possible to make a pretty phone for those who value design without copying what Apple's doing.
So you mentioned the M9 there. Is that the new king of the jungle in the Android universe? Like if Samsung is no longer making the phone to have, what is the phone to have in your opinion?
No, because I don't think HTC, they run into the same problem because they're selling premium hardware, and again, it's still, unless you really value design over anything else, it's just an Android phone. They all do the same thing, so they're going to run into the same problems. They've tried, their differentiating factor is they have that program that'll replace your phone if you crack it. I don't know if you guys have talked to it on the show, but they'll give you a free phone if you drop it in beer or something and it doesn't work anymore. Is that going to make people rush out and buy an HTC? Probably not. I think it's just going to be really... Maybe. I think it's just going to be really spread out. Android is still going to be huge, but spread out over several different manufacturers.
So there is no king of the jungle. Everybody, it's just going to be whatever It's going to be a much more fractalized universe than it already is, which is already kind of...
Exactly. And then you look at what Cyanogen's doing. They just got a boatload of funding, and that's the market they're attacking, this fractioned universe. They want to create their own Android, basically.
They said we want to put a bullet in Google's head is what is what they said, meaning Android particularly, not I don't think search, but yeah, we have come to a consumer's market on the smartphone side. They have become commoditized, and I think that's just a natural growth of the market. You don't see people considering which feature phone is the top end anymore because that market got commoditized a long time ago.
Or even laptops. I mean, laptops reached that point, or regular tower PCs. Okay, fine. It's just a gray box that it had a CD-ROM drive or whatever, and the processor speed will get a little faster and so forth. But yeah, it's just we've hit that point in smartphones.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to Samsung. This is not to say that any of us wish them ill, and you should take a look at it if you're looking for a new phone because
it's a nice phone.
Yeah. It may be worthwhile, especially if you're the right time in your upgrade cycle. Maybe you're used to living in the Samsung universe. There's one thing we didn't mention is the bloatware is not a problem.
It's gotten a lot better. The software is a lot cleaner. Even just the basic apps like text messaging and email and stuff, it's really smooth and clean and accessible. They just stripped out a bunch of the junk from the other phones and made it. It's not stock Android, but it's close.
All right, let's leave it on a positive note there.
Yeah.
No. Yay! Bloatware! Strike in the heart of the bloatware empire.
All right, let's take a look at our pick of the day. It comes from Jody. Says, I'm $1 worth of a boss, and I thought of a pick on the way home in gray and windy London. Even attached a picture. It was definitely gray, and it looked pretty windy. I want to let everyone know about, of course, everybody knows about Amazon Prime. We were just talking about it earlier, and how good its 2-day U.S. and next-day U.K. delivery and instant video, etc. is. But did you know you can share Prime delivery perks with your family members who live at the same address for free? That's what I was talking about. Jody says just go into your Prime account management and invite family members, and it's done. They get the free 2-day or next-day delivery. Now, the downside to this is they don't get the video streaming without having to log in with the main account. They don't get some of these other perks, but you can share out the 2-day delivery. And Amazon has said it wants to share the streaming out as well. I think they're trying to work on different tiers for Amazon Prime family memberships. But you can share the shipping right now. And I even know people who don't live in the same house who do this, kind of share it around with each other.
Yeah, I guess I just give my fiance my password and username.
Well, you guys are, eventually going to get married in California, and so she'll own all of your stuff anyway.
Oh, yeah, she probably legally already owns 80% of mine.
Steve, do you share your Prime account, or do you just keep it for yourself?
No, it's just me. And but I do share other accounts, like I take my parents' HBO Go and stuff like that. But
the classic.
Yeah, the classic. Yeah, still feeding off the parents. No, it's all mine, and like we were talking about earlier. I love Prime, and if it was only just the shipping, that's good enough for me. But the fact that they add the instant and starting to tack on more stuff on it, it's totally worth every cent.
Well, thank you, Jody, for the pick. Send your picks, folks. Keep them coming. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. That is it for this episode of the Daily Tech News Show. Steve Kovach, it's been too long. Thank you so much for coming on, man. It was really
thanks
great
for
talking
having
with
me.
you.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can come on again soon. You can find him, though, if you miss him already, folks, at businessinsider.com, or follow him on Twitter, twitter.com/Steve Kovach. That's Kovach. And you should read his thoughts on the Samsung Galxy S6 up there in Business Insider as well. That's up today. Anything else coming up you want to tell people about, or anything else you've worked on recently?
Oh, what's coming up? Stay tuned next week. That's all I'll say.
All right.
All right.
Intriguing.
Hey.
Next week. Let's see. All right. Good. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out. BusinessInsider.com. Keep your eyes peeled on it. Justin Robert Young, a pleasure as always, my friend, co-host of Night Attack, nightattack.tv, as well as all kinds of other podcasts and appearances. What of your many projects would you like to share with folks today?
Well, Night Attack, actually, next week we're probably going to do our big summer movie draft. So it is our fantasy football or baseball for summer movies. It is always a blast, and hopefully we'll have a great roster. I forgot to send out that email last night, so I'm making a mental note right now to alert everybody that we want to play that they should play. Other than that, just head on over to nightattack.tv. And April 1st, we are debuting the brand new diamondclub.tv, which is where I know a lot of people watch this show live. It's going to look awesome, and we're really excited about it.
And April 1st, not because it's April Fool's Day.
No.
It's starting at the beginning of April. This is not a joke. It really is relaunching. That's all.
We really, really, really will debut it on April 1st unless we forget about it until 420.
Yeah, well, that could happen too. Thank you to our patrons, 4,868 folks who give us at least $1 or sometimes less. We don't care. Give us what you can. If you get something out of the show and you want to help the show continue, we are more than halfway towards the goal of getting new contributors. Those contributors are Scott Johnson of the Frog Pants Network and Ms. Veronica Belmont, star of Internet and Sword and Laser, former Buzz Out Loud co-host of mine. So help us out. DailyTechNewsShow.com/support if you think we deserve it. If you get something out of the show and you've got something you can give back, dailytechnewsshow.com/support. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Listen to the show live at tunein.alphageekradio.com and visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back at the normal time tomorrow with Darren Kitchen and Len Peralta. Talk to you then.
For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom. Thank you both.
All right. I got to run, guys, but I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, Steve. Thanks again.
Great having you on.
Hey, good show.
Excellent.
So, there were a couple times, just a few times, when Tom, your audio got a little garbled over my internet, but I really don't think it was at any time that would materially affect people's enjoyment of the show if I use my record. Maybe you just might want to drop your raw copy in a Dropbox.
It's already in there. It goes in there automatically. I'm levelating it now.
Okay.
In fact,
oh,
and if you don't want to deal with that, I could probably turn this into an MP3 right away, and then you could take it from there.
I'll tell you what, I can't.
All right, it's up to you. I'll do it at the same time.
Yeah, if you want to just do it for practice. I do it a little more regularly, but
This hangout, man, like it is just crazy pants when it comes to just randomly dropping off.
Yeah,
well, if you do anything unusual, it sucks, which is why all the podcasters and folks and stuff hate it. But if it seems to work, I mean, I use it every day. It works really well for folks who are just doing that one thing. I don't know why.
Yeah. Wait,
it's just I don't think the plugin plays well with anything else on the system.
Yeah.
Which plugin? I'm sorry.
The Hangout plugin.
Got it.
I guess it. Maybe it's because I'm in Canary.
Wait, what? Sorry, what?
We were just talking about me dropping out in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which apparently, I thought it was a wholesale crazy pants thing where we all went down because my internet was fine. So I'm like, oh, well, it can't be me because everything's working great outside of Chrome. And no, it was just Chrome, it was just Hangouts just for me. Which is kind of bad.
So weird. It's so weird.
So weird, man.
Are you using a PC?
I'm using, a PC.
I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Because I've experienced weird things with Hangouts on Windows 8.1 or 8 that I don't notice as much on my Mac, which is why I'm using my Mac. But I mean, it just could be a browser thing or a cache thing as well. I don't know. Could be a lot of things. Shooting in the dark.
I'm going to call this episode "There Is No King of the Jungle."
Really?
Yes.
All right.
It's just an executive decision for today to speed things along.
All right.
Not even George?
I was going to call it Samsung iPhone 6 or whatever, some Galaxy iPhone 6, But then right as I was typing that in, Justin said there is no king of the jungle, and I was taken by that.
There is none. There is only pretenders to the throne.
The jungle has no king.
A lot of people were like, "Oh, like it's I guess taking not umbrage, but that thinking that me saying that it was a fractalized universe was like a bad thing for Android." It's like I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Like I think it's more of a descriptor, and like they're like, "Oh, it's not fractals, it's choice," and it's like, no, it's both.
Well, you're like, yes, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, number one, we are making money in a universe where everybody can choose exactly what they want to do and what money they want to support it. We are all in the pro-fractalize everything camp. Fractalize all the things.
It comes from iPhone users criticizing Android for fragmentation. And so anytime an Android fan hears a whiff of that, they get their hackles up and say, it's not fragmentation, it's choice. And you didn't say fragmentation. You were actually making their argument.
But
actually, fragmentation I don't actually think it's a necessary negative. And the reason I say that is I would use the example of MS-DOS and Intel. Even though Intel wholly owned the chip, they sold it to multiple vendors, and so you basically had this growth of PCs as a commodity, lowering the price, and for the longest time, keeping Apple's share of the computer market to under 9% for better.
It's just two different ways of doing it. You know, there are advantages to the locked-in Apple approach, and there is advantage to the wide-open Android/Windows approach.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say wide open for Windows, but you know what I mean.
Wide open spaces.
Wide open spaces.
Was that the Dixie Chicks or Shania?
I don't know. It just is in my brain. So Tom, I got to the point where I'm in Audacity and I can turn this into an A3.
You got to the point where your Google Hangout just munged everything you said after it got to the point. Say it again.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is like a commercial. Okay. I got to the point where it's in Audacity and I can turn it into an MP3 after levelating it.
Oh, I just finished uploading it to FeedBurner, so.
See, I don't have to do it. Yeah. It's like that thing where you take a nap, you're like, I'm so tired, and then your crazy older brother secretly does all your legal filings.
What?
Nothing.
This sounds like a very personal story.
No, I realized, I'll tell you what, I realized it was a spoiler for a TV show right as I was starting to say it.
Oh, so I actually know what you're referring to now. Yeah. So you changed the, I see what you did.
I did a hard right turn around that spoiler.
Right. It was like you were on a snowboard and you were just shredding as you turned.
Shredding, man.
Yeah.
Now I want to know what show.
Well, you're going to have to watch it.
I don't know what show.
We'll tell you later. We'll tell you when you're older.
We'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
So actually the MP3 is all published now. I'm double checking it to make sure, but
that show that we're not talking about has gotten so good, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
So good. It's as if they just kept.
You had to hang with it for a couple episodes, but yeah.
But just like the amount of time it took for that other show to get better, and then this show to immediately be better is just like, well, that's what happens when people get to keep making television. It's like what would happen if Matt Weiner immediately went into making another show on the same network right after Mad Men. It's just
I think the awesomeness of Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just randomly bringing something up.
Just unrelated to anything else we were talking about.
Unrelated to anything else, yeah.
It gives Vince Gilligan the crown of like the showrunner of showrunners in that era. Like to do something else in that universe and not think it's a negative and not like take this like, oh no, I've made my art and now I walk away from it. Like just be like, no, you want to know what? I'm still in my prime and I'm just going to crank out more awesome stories.
I'm just going to make sure they're really good.
Also, what's awesome is that his writers' rooms are known throughout the industry as just being like the nicest possible places. Like people are they're nice to each other. It's not crazy, and they just get their stuff done. And like that speaks so much to his character as well. Although we are conveniently leaving out the whole issue of Battle Creek. It's like that thing where you don't want it to ruin the average, so you're just not talking about it. But I think there are reasons for that.
Everyone's got to sell shows, right?
Yeah. Actually, Battle Creek is the perfect example. Here's the perfect example of what happens when you take it out of the AMC or cable universe and put it on network, and then all hell breaks loose. It's like the perfect control for why you should not do that.
All right, folks, I'm off to San Diego. Maybe I'll see a couple of you down there. In the meantime,
where are you? What are you doing in San Diego?
Take care of yourself. It's social media marketing world. I'm doing a panel with Mike Wolf.
Social.
Sweet.
Yeah,
So
on the future of
SMMW.
podcasting.
The future of podcast.
We will all podcast from space.
Yes.
With
Or
our
an asteroid.
space podcasts on an asteroid boulder orbiting the moon.
Awesome possum. All right. Hey, I really thought that was a fun show. Thank you.
It was good.
was awesome.
Technical problem didn't even bother me. It was awesome. Good stuff. Goodbye.